Hey, what's up guys, it's TechZoomer talking to you here. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about the iPhone 15 Pro Max camera and its possibility to replace a mirrorless camera, your mirrorless camera. If you are a filmmaker, a YouTuber, or someone that really likes to film video with their camera and actually spend quite a good amount of money on a good mirrorless camera, what is the iPhone 15 Pro Max camera capabilities with the log footage, with the photo, the video, everything? Can it replace your whole system so you can go lighter? Or if you are an upcoming YouTuber or even a newborn on the YouTube space and you want to use your iPhone to create your videos, is the iPhone 15 Pro Max enough? Does it have enough features? Does it have enough capabilities and power for filming all of your videos? Or should you simply buy a mirrorless camera, a cheap mirrorless camera like the Sony ZV-E10 or other options? Of course, my camera is the Sony A6700 and I'm in love with this camera. I'm not switching it for the iPhone 15 Pro Max. But should you? So in today's video, let's find out and let's talk about the iPhone 15 Pro Max log capabilities more specifically. So no further ado, drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel, let's get started. So the iPhone 15 Pro Max is an amazing camera. This has a triple camera system and it's focused on a big upgrade from last year. Of course, in my opinion, the iPhone 15 Pro Max camera is the best phone camera on the market right now. But I don't think it's enough still to compete with mirrorless cameras on that top 5% quality that most videographers and filmmakers look for. But I do believe that the iPhone 15 Pro Max is a great camera for beginners on YouTube. Because beginners, they need a very easy to use camera, a very not complicated one, very intuitive and very easy to transfer from your iPhone to your Mac or to your computer to edit videos. So the iPhone 15 Pro Max has this ability. Transfer footage really easy from the iPhone to the computer without losing any quality and being super fast. While mirrorless cameras like my Sony A6700, the Sony A7 IV or other cameras, they use SD cards. And SD cards are not a bad thing. They're actually a very nice thing when you know how to use them. But for most beginners, they are kind of hassle because you have to transfer SD cards from your camera to your computer. Your computer needs to have an SD slot or you have to buy an adapter. Then SD cards are expensive. They cost like $100 for a nice SD card that has 64 gigabytes of storage, which can have like 45 minutes of 4K 30 frames per second on 144 bits per second on a very good camera on log S, log 3, whatever. It doesn't have much space. And then it's really expensive, like I told you, so like 64 gigs for $100, which is the S2 type of SD card. And then there's the Type A fast cards that Sony A7 IVs and even cinema line cameras like the Sony FS30 and the Sony FS3, they actually support. So there's a world of SD cards out there. They are very complicated. They are the fast cards and then the SD cards. And so most beginners, they don't want to mess with that until they decide to buy the iPhone 15 Pro Max. This is an amazing choice. You don't need to have SD cards. You don't need to have anything. You can record 4K 30 frames per second log directly via your camera app and it's amazing. It's an incredible thing. But the thing that I think will change everything is the fact when you buy an external SSD for your iPhone. When you decide to buy an external SSD for your iPhone, it unlocks new capabilities like 4K 60 frames per second at log, and then it enables you to record for several hours on top of that SSD that you just simply connect to your computer. It's almost like an SD card, but has tons more space, is way cheaper, and it's way more reliable. So I think that having external SSDs to record on an iPhone is really cool. And I wish my camera would take an external SSD to record to, because my SD card, 64 gigabytes, cost me $100 and only takes like 40 minutes. I have to keep deleting the footage, the photos, everything, just transfer it to my Mac, to my hard drive, because it just gets full very fast. And that's a problem. So if you are a beginner of YouTube or a beginner filmmaker and you don't want to mess with SD cards, with adapters, spend tons of money on accessories, then the iPhone 15 Pro Max is the best bare-bone experience that you will have. Cameras don't have internal storage, so you need to buy an SD card. You don't have any choice. Then it's really expensive. The camera is expensive, the SD cards are expensive, everything is expensive on the camera world. And so I think that the iPhone 15 Pro Max, in this case, is the most budget option and also the most easier option. So if you are a beginner, definitely that the iPhone 15 Pro Max on those use cases can completely replace your camera and should replace your camera. This is the best beginner's camera out there. It's easy to use, the video quality is really good, and most of the time you cannot distinguish from Apple log, yes, Apple log, not a normal native video, Apple log that is graded on DaVinci Resolve from a mirrorless camera. If you do it right, then only the depth of field will give it away. Other than that, no video quality, no the colors, everything is really similar between Apple log, if you grade it correctly, and the S log 3 or the C log 3 from Canon. It's an incredible thing that Apple has released log and has enabled log on the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max. This has changed everything in terms of video quality on the iPhone. But that's not just it. The iPhone 15 Pro Max is also way cheaper to run and right away ready to film, because the iPhone 15 Pro Max has 3 lenses, while if you buy a camera body, for example my Sony A6700, you just get the camera body. It cost me around $1,500, just the camera body, no lenses, no wide lens, no telephoto, no zoom lens, nothing. It came with nothing, just the sensor, the body, and you cannot use your camera with that. You need to buy external lenses because this is a mirrorless camera, while the iPhone 15 Pro Max features 3 main lenses. Although they are all prime lenses, they are not zoom lenses. They cannot zoom further without losing quality, like optically. They can do it like a species of a crop that is not a crop, because it crops in on the bigger sensor, makes it like a 2x optical. It's weird. I don't have time to explain it. Just know that these are 3 prime lenses, so in terms of video quality, you will lose when you try to crop in or zoom further. There's no capabilities in terms of zooming in, while on a mirrorless camera, you can interchange your lenses as you wish. So if you want a wide lens to film this talking head, then you just get a 16mm for an APS-C or a 25mm, 24mm for full frame. Or if you want a 50mm look, a nifty 50, just buy a 50mm lens. Or if you don't want to spend much money, you buy a zoom lens that covers all of this zoom range from 20mm to 70mm or 120mm. The world is yours. You can choose whatever you want to buy a different lens. You can keep the same camera body, you spend more money on lenses, and you're set. But it's not that simple, because you need to consider that mirrorless cameras and buying external lenses, it's really expensive. Not just the body, the lenses. The lenses is the most expensive part of buying a mirrorless camera, a DSLR, anything. The lenses can cost up to the price of the body or even more. For example, I bought my Sony A6700 and this camera cost me $1,500. My main wide lens, which is just a 16mm lens for APS-C of course, costed me $700. Yes, $700. It's really expensive, just one lens, a prime lens that cannot zoom. Okay, it's an f1.4, so it's a really good lens, very wide. It can capture tons of light and so gives you this amazing natural bokeh. But $700, this is super expensive. And then you decide, okay, this is a wide lens just for talking head, but for photos I want to get a super cool lens, super cool zoom lens. And then I was like, okay, I need to buy a zoom lens. How much should I spend on a zoom lens? And then I went to search it on Amazon, on the market, and then I saw the prices of zoom lenses and I was like, oh my god, I'm screwed. Zoom lenses can go up to $1,000, $1,200, $1,500, $2,000 for a really good lens like a G Master. And I was like, stop, wait a minute. I don't have that money to spend. I did not know that it was going to be this expensive. And so I settled for a G lens. It's an 18 to 105, I think. It's an APS-C lens, but it's a zoom lens. It's a really good lens. It's from G series. And I bought it on a discount for $300. But keep in mind, I spent $1,500 on my camera body, and it was really expensive for me. And then I decided to buy external lenses, more lenses for my kit, and then, wow, I spent $1,000 on different lenses, on a wide lens and on a zoom lens. Yes, of course, I have most of the zoom range that I need covered now, but still, I spent like $2,500 just on a camera and its camera accessories. And then, of course, the SD card, and then the tripod, and then the studio lights. All of these will be also necessary for the iPhone, but still, it was almost like $2,800 cost for the final product. While the iPhone 15 Pro Max costed me around $1,500. Yes, here in Portugal it's a bit more expensive, but still in America you can get it for $1,200, and that's it. You don't need more. You have the ultra-wide lens, you have the wide lens, you have the telephoto, you have the stabilization, there's no need for a gimbal, which is something that I don't have for my Sony A6700, and so my footage is much more shaky when compared to my iPhone footage, which when I turn on action mode is insane. Just make sure you have tons of light, and this won't ever need a gimbal, no more. But if you do, then there's the DJI Osmo 6. That's an incredible gimbal that costs you only $150. While if you want to buy a gimbal that supports a mirrorless camera, minimum $350 to $400 with the DJI RS3 Mini. So as you can see, buying accessories for your camera, for your mirrorless camera, will be super expensive, while the iPhone will be much more cheaper in every single way. It has everything: the main lens, the ultra-wide lens, the telephoto. Of course, these are only prime lenses, and so you are stuck to its prime focal length. For the ultra-wide, it's about a 30mm ultra-wide lens. Then the main camera is equivalent to 24mm, although now you can get also 48 with a 2x optical crop on the video side. And then, of course, on the Pro Max model, depending on the model that you choose, from the Pro iPhones, the Pro Max has an 120mm 5x lens. And then, of course, there's the 15 Pro, which has a 3x or a 77mm equivalent. Again, this is closed to these focal lenses. You can get amazing photos, you can get amazing videos with these lenses. They are insane. The video quality with Apple Log is really good, but it does not compare with a mirrorless camera capability. Again, you can interchange lenses, you can get whatever look you want. Then the sensor is much bigger, so the video will be much better with much more light, much more information, a lot less noise. Low light will be much better. And on photos, again, although this has a 48 megapixel sensor on the main sensor, which takes amazing photos, my camera, my mirrorless camera, has a 26 or a 24 megapixel sensor. Still, the photos are different. They have a different look to it. They are just insane. I don't know why, but it's probably because of the bigger sensor. Although with Apple RAW on the camera app enabled, you can get still amazing photos, but on the mirrorless camera, it's a different game. As for the zoom, these two cameras have very different approaches. The iPhone 15 Pro Max features 3 prime lenses. This has a 13mm equivalent ultra-wide camera, a 24mm main camera, and 120mm, the new camera from Apple. This is the 5x telephoto, and it's great, but it has some problems. When compared to a mirrorless camera like this Sony, this camera has the ability to interchange lenses. So, if I want to, I can simply switch this prime 15mm G lens for a zoom lens. And you are probably thinking for yourself, what is that? Well, a zoom lens is a lens that can actually cover a whole zoom range without losing any type of quality. It's an optical zoom that lasts from, I don't know, 18mm to 105mm, like my zoom lens, while the iPhone 15 Pro Max, whenever you want to zoom further or behind the zoom capabilities of your prime lens, it will crop on the image. So it will lose very much quality. But again, that's something you gotta decide. The approach on the iPhone needs to be this way because of the sizes of the lenses inside of this phone. They cannot be too big. And a zoom lens necessarily is big. Like, look at the difference between the prime lens and the zoom lens. They're about the same, but, well, the size difference is actually insane. Again, if you are a beginner, then I do believe that the iPhone 15 Pro Max is way more than enough, and it might replace a mirrorless camera for the first year. But once you start to get serious, then I think buying an APS-C camera is your next step, because an APS-C camera is much cheaper than a full-frame camera, and the lenses are also much cheaper. And so at the end of the day, you will save tons of money by going on the APS-C ecosystem. I myself started with the Sony A6700, my favorite camera so far, and in my opinion, it's an insane value. This camera gives you 4K 120 frames per second, 4K 60 frames per second, 4K 30 frames per second, gives you 24 megapixel sensor, S-Log3, the same sensor found on the Sony FX30, gives you incredible photos, incredible videos. This is the best hybrid APS-C camera available on the market. And I don't believe there's any type of camera out there that can compete for the price and the performance of this camera. Again, a mirrorless camera is for those that want more, for those that seek that extra quality. They want to use their cameras on manual mode. They don't want automatic anything, they just want to create their photos with their style. The iPhone is much more simpler. The iPhone gives you the footage that you want, gives you the photos that you want for social media, and that's it. And if you want to create a YouTube channel, there's no better tool than buying the iPhone 15 Pro currently. It's your phone and your camera. You don't need to buy another phone, you don't need to buy another camera, have two expenses. No, just buy the iPhone 15 Pro Max. It will be an amazing iPhone with ProMotion and other features. And now has USB-C, that is a huge thing to transfer files from your iPhone to your computer to edit it more easily. And of course then has the capabilities of filming all of your YouTube videos, your Instagram Reels, whatever you want to do with your camera. Then the iPhone 15 Pro Max, if you want to do social media with TikTok, vertical video, this is the best tool out there. But if you want to do filmmaking, if you want to do freelancing jobs, I do believe that the iPhone still is not enough. It's really good to be a big cam, but for your main camera, I do believe the mirrorless camera is still one of the best on the market. But again, what do I know? I'm just a small YouTuber that has an iPhone 15 Pro Max and a mirrorless camera for his main videos. But let me know in the comments below which one do you prefer. Do you like the Sony A6700 or the iPhone 15 Pro Max footage? But first, let me explain you how I match my iPhone 15 Pro Max log footage to my Sony S-Log3 footage. So, let's talk about it. This is the iPhone 15 Pro Max using the Blackmagic camera app and of course using Apple ProRes log. This is much more comparable with the Sony A6700 S-Log3 or even other mirrorless cameras profiles because it's log, and so I can use the same color grading methods to apply to this log footage and so try to create the same looking image as the other log footages from Sony S-Log3, C-Log3 from Canon, whatever. Apple log is a really big thing, and I think it makes the iPhone finally a really good big camera for filmmakers and cinemakers and actually real YouTubers for real B-roll or even YouTube beginners like you. Yes, you that are watching this video and thinking, should I use my iPhone 15 Pro Max as my main YouTube camera or buy a separate camera? Well, I'm here to tell you and to prove it to you that if you are a beginner YouTuber, then you can really go far using an iPhone with really good studio lights, with really good fill lights, really good microphones, then the iPhone footage will look amazing when compared to other mirrorless cameras. But if you want to take your game to the next level, as you can see between these comparisons, I do believe that the mirrorless camera still has an edge over the iPhone. Which of those did you prefer, the mirrorless camera or the iPhone? Let me know in the comments down below. I myself will still keep using my mirrorless camera. This is an insane camera. I love the look that it gives to my video. I love color grading S-Log3, and so I won't switch. The expense is made, so I don't think it's a waste of money currently. Again, it completely changed my channel to go from an iPhone to a mirrorless camera. And I think that, yes, it's a really good thing to start your YouTube journey with an iPhone. It's much more cheaper and, in my opinion, a better value. But I think there's a time and a point on your YouTube journey that you will feel compelled to upgrade to a mirrorless camera, to a camera in general. And when you buy your first dedicated camera for your channel, everything will change. First, dial in your audio, make sure that it's really good, buy a new microphone, make sure it's an incredible system. Then dial in your lights, because it's one of the most important things to have good video quality is a good lighting system, a good key light, good background lights, good fill lights. And then after spending all of this money and all of this time improving all of these specs, then upgrade from your iPhone to a dedicated camera. The camera on a small YouTuber, especially a dedicated camera, should be the last thing you buy, not the first one. But let me know in the comments down below if you can see that the difference between the iPhone and the mirrorless camera is really that big, or has the gap between these two shortened this year. Let me know in the comments down below all of that. While you're there, drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for watching. Bye bye.